Good afternoon, YouTube. Um, as some of you may know, I was gone for a week, 10 days out in New Hampshire, visiting a friend of mine, Derek Ferrier from the Woodsman School. Spent 5 or 6 days at his house with him and his wife and his son. Great host, had a great time, laughed, shared a lot of knowledge and stuff. And then I went on a canoe trip down the St. Croix River with Derek. A few other people. I'll try not to screw up your names here. Um, Dan Moore, uh, Tony and Vicky Ledger, Jason Highland. I believe his name is Tom from New York, and Mitch. And we had a learning experience, and this is what this video is about. Is to talk about the the trip more so than anything else, because I've noticed that people are going to start popping up with these guided canoe trips. Guided this, guided that. Let's do, because it's an adventure. It really is. It's a truly an adventure. Um, but there are some safety features to keep in mind. What we did first, we had a discussion in the classroom um, where Dan went over pedaling techniques, river structures, looking for the V's, and talked about reverse eddies and peeling out and eddy, ferrying and all kinds of stuff. There was so much knowledge, from boat knowledge to paddling to river features. And this is something you just don't gain in a weekend of being out there. And I know there's going to be some guys coming up and saying, well, I can lead a guide trip like that. Well, quite honestly, no, you can't. Um, you don't have the experience. You definitely aren't versed in all aspects of it. So we did the classroom, then we went out on the river where we got some more instruction, and we paired up, teamed up in pairs and stuff. And there was 4 canoes, and went down the river, stopping for camping and meals that were out of this world, folks. I mean, spaghetti and meat sauce and garlic bread, pots of coffee. I mean, buckets of coffee, tea. Uh, Kettles of, I mean, we're talking kettles like a Dutch oven, a roasted custard, and then one with blueberries in it. You know, Vicky making donuts on the last morning. I mean, just off the chain stuff. Candy bacon. Jason Island making candy bacon. Put bacon and eggs for breakfast with all the trim-ins, and then a smaller lunch but a bigger dinner. Carrying a lot of food, but that adds a lot of weight to these boats. And let me tell you guys, you're not going to go out there and you're not going to go hungry, because if you go hungry, it's because you decided you didn't want to eat for whatever reason, because there's just way too much food. But let's get into the safety features of this trip, the safety aspects of it. You're going down a river, class 1, bordering maybe class 2, and I would say class 1 mostly. Whitewater, but you can get messed up, and there's some people on this trip that can attest to this. There was a couple of guys that dumped their boat canoe 3 times in 2 days, and the last one was pretty bad. But when you have professionals on the spot helping you, guiding you, getting out of their canoes to go assist you, that's what Derek had to do on several occasions. He got out to assist. We get them to shore, we pump out the boats, we get back on the river, and down we go. If you were to try to do this with novice or inexperienced guides, the disasters out there could be limitless. I was reading a post this morning about 4 guys who were set up on a river in Canada to go canoeing it, and it almost cost them their lives. And I was thinking to myself, who won? Or was the guide? This is the reason why you have a guide, main guide. it is what it is. You have to have some sort of credentials to lead people down a river like this. Otherwise, you're just whistling Dixie, you know. You have to have proper instruction. And then somebody to be there just in case. Because, you know, Murphy has a way of coming around and kicking people. And these guys got kicked pretty hard 3 different occasions. And luckily I had Jason Island in my canoe. Vicky and Tony were in their own. And these 2 other men just kept having trouble. Now, I saw people taking notes, and I was just kind of curious to myself as to why you're taking notes. I mean, are you going to try to copy this? Questionable copy it. What portages and what campsites did we hit and stuff like that. Thinking, boy, you're actually going to try to do this, but let me reiterate, you need proper instruction. Don't think that you know it all in first trip, second trip, but Dan will tell you. We sat down, he asked people, he says, what's your canoe experience? I mean, how much canoe time do you got? Some people, I got a lot of canoe time. Well, canoeing on a lake is different than canoeing on a river, especially a river with Class 1 rapids. Completely different ball game. But I told him, I said, you know, Dan, ain't no sense in even asking the question, because if they're going to lie to you and tell you they got vast experiences, you'll know it in the first 5 minutes they get in the boat. He agreed with that. You can actually get seriously hurt, you know. And it's not just dumping your canoe. You could go head first down the river, you know, after you dump it, and into a rock. Get caught up. Well, get your leg caught up in between rocks. And we're talking rocks. These things are no joke. And there's some, I have video of pictures of some of the rapids we went down, some of the white water, and then some we portaged around because it's just not safe. Now, it's not safe as far as novices. I saw people going down that, and I saw people dump their canoes, you know, right at the end, hit something, dump it over. We watched some Canadian Boy Scouts do it. Some people made it and some people didn't, you know. But do you risk that? This is a canoe camping trip. It's supposed to be fun, pleasurable. No sense in getting hurt. So I want to promote the Woodsman School even further and the guide service that Derek is now doing. And I want you guys to read between the lines on a lot of things. You know, you're going to see some things come up, and people are going to say, hey, we're now doing the boundary waters. We're going to canoe this. What's your experience? What's your level of credentials for this? Do you have any credentials whatsoever? Or is it just going to be another hanging out with this person because he's a fan of yours or a friend of yours on Facebook who doesn't really know, but he's going to put you at risk? Sorry, Derek and Dan Moore do not put people at risk. We give you a little bit of challenge, but we're not, you know, these people are not going to put you in harm's way where you're going to get seriously messed up. You might get wet, you might get cold. We can take care of that. I'm going to try to make this school the best that there ever could be, because I truly believe that the leadership of this school and the people it associates itself with for educational purposes, Dan Moore, Jack Mountain Bushcraft, Tim Smith, you know, these are the people that Derek decides to associate with for knowledge and basically just to learn how to run everything. I mean, Derek's got more knowledge in a pinky than most of these guys will ever have. Proved it on this trip. We caught fish. We had a blast. We ate great. Nobody got sick. Yes, the mosquitoes can pretty much drain you dry out there. But it's just something you overcome with a little bug spray, right? Jason Highland and I got hung up on a rock. I mean, literally, we were hung up on a rock. Went between two, got stuck on one. We learned real quick from the classroom, it all comes back to you real fast. You hug that rock. You don't lean away from it. That's the problem. You lean away from it, the boat fills with water, out you go, folds around the rock, boom, bada bing, you're done. That's what happened on the last time these two guys dumped the canoe. Jason and I got ourselves off and down our merry way. Vicky and Tony got hung up on rock. They got themselves off, you know. It's just, there's things that you can't see that are right under the surface. Sometimes they boil, sometimes they don't. You ride right over it. Just a little bit of weight, you're stuck. Because the front end of the boat rides a little higher than the back, obviously. But we balance it out. Everybody carries their own gear plus group gear. That's what this is about. You can't put all that weight onto the guides. And, you know, then they would have to drag another boat with them. Wow. There's just so much stuff that you have to bring on this trip. And they do it, and they provide top-notch service. From you wake up in the morning, the coffee, the tea, and water in buckets are boiling so that you can have your coffee while you're refilling your canteen with the boiled water, maybe add a little flavoring into it or what have you, cool it off. Later on down the afternoon, it's cold water. You're good to go. You're drinking, you're hydrating, because you will burn up a lot of calories and you will dehydrate. Even though you're surrounded by water, all of it still has to be boiled to be drunk. I will say that from his packing list, which is going to be revised with a couple of little additives, there wasn't much you could add to it. But me, I personally forgot to fly on my tent. Silly me, I spent one night during a torrential downpour, basically in a fish tank. It's a learning experience. Did I suffer? I had a bad night, but I managed and dried my stuff out the next day, and you know, all is good. When you have a storm like that comes rolling through, I guess the next morning is pretty hard to get a fire going. But between me and Tony, with the help from Derek, we had a raging fire going in about 15-20 minutes. Boiling water, getting all back to normal and stuff, drying out your stuff in the sun and hanging on clotheslines and stuff that we strung up. It is a good time. I highly recommend that if you guys are going to do this, you do the 7-day one and really get a better experience. I mean, ours was great. 4 days, wonderful. 7, I'm sitting here at home now wishing I was on the 7-day one. That's how much fun I had. I appreciate everything Derek did for me. I enjoyed meeting the man. I truly think the Woodsman School is where it's at. His guide service, being a main guide, that means a lot more than being Joe Blow on YouTube who wants to go out and have some fun. You know, you're risking your life. I would highly suggest that you don't do that. Pick a quality guide and with instructors that know what they're doing. Not this fly-by-night, oh, I'm going to try this out, make a few bucks. Derek considers you all guests, family. You are family. He is not going to do anything to hurt you. He is going to make your trip, your experience down this river, the best that he could possibly ever make it. If you need something, all you need to do is ask. I could have got a tarp from him. He carried extras, and I could have flown a tarp, but it's too late. No, it is what it is. Did the other two men get hurt? No, they didn't. They got wet, and they got their pride and feelings hurt. It takes two people in a boat. So if one guy's blaming the other guy, and the other guy's blaming the other guy, both of you are in the boat. You both dumped it. I watched it on the last one, and nothing I could do. I couldn't get back to him. I was already paddling back, past him. We just went downriver and we stayed there, beached up on underneath a tree out on an island, and started grabbing their gear as it was coming down the water. That's just what happens, especially if you don't strap it in like you're instructed to do. But with that said, I'm going to hook a link up here, the Woodsman School and Guide Service, Sanbornville, New Hampshire, or you can contact Derek at thewoodsmanschool.com. There's more information there. Plus, he's got the 7-day one coming up. and I'm sure you guys will love it. I mean, you will have the time of your life. And with that, I'm going to close out this video. Thank you, Derek, Dan, Sharon. You're all some wonderful hosts and some great people. Vicky, Tony, Jason, you guys had me rolling. I mean, I could not stop laughing over your constant cutting up. You're some great individuals. I think it was Tom from New York. You're a funny man, dude. You're a funny man. Mitch. Mitch did his own thing for the most part. It was nice to meet him. It is what it is. With that said, you guys have a great afternoon, and really check out more on the Woodsman School and Guide Service.